Chapter 2 Rebirth Part 1. Wei Wuxian had just opened his eyes when he was kicked by someone. A thunderbolt exploded in his ear. "Why are you pretending to be dead?" He was kicked so hard in the chest that he almost vomited blood, hitting the back of his head on the ground and lying on his back. Dazed, he thought. To dare kick this old ancestor, quite a lot of guts. Wei Wuxian hadn't heard a living person speak for years, let alone such loud cursing. Dizzy and with ringing ears, a young, hoarse voice echoed, "Don't forget. Whose land you live on, whose rice you eat, and whose money you spend. What's wrong with taking a few things from you? They should all be mine anyway." Immediately afterward, there were sounds of rummaging through drawers, smashing things, and clattering around him. After a while, Wei Wuxian's vision gradually cleared up. He saw a dim-roofed face with green eyes above him, spitting words. "You still dare to report me? Do you think I'm really afraid you'll report it? Do you think anyone in this house will stand up for you?" Two servants approached and said, "Young master, everything is smashed." The young man with the hoarse voice asked, "So soon?" The servant replied, "This broken house didn't have much stuff to begin with." The young man was very satisfied and turned to Wei Wuxian, pointing at him as if ready to poke his forehead. "You have the nerve to report it? Pretending to be dead now, as if anyone would care about your scraps of metal and paper. I've destroyed everything. Let's see what you'll use to report it. You think spending a few years in a prestigious cultivation family is impressive. You're still just a stray dog chased back home." Wei Wuxian thought half dead. "I have been gone for many years, truly not pretending. Who is this? Where am I? When did I ever possess someone else?" The young man with the hoarse voice had kicked him, smashed the house, vented his anger, and left with the two servants, slamming the door and shouting orders. "Watch him closely. Don't let him embarrass himself outside." The servants responded affirmatively. When they were far away, the inside and outside of the house became quiet again. Wei Wuxian tried to sit up, but his limbs wouldn't move, so he lay back down. He turned over and looked at the unfamiliar surroundings and the mess on the floor, feeling dizzy. Beside him was a copper mirror that had been thrown to the ground. Wei Wuxian picked it up and saw an unusually pale face in the mirror, with uneven red patches on both cheeks. If he stuck out a long red tongue, he'd look like a hanged ghost. Wei Wuxian threw the mirror aside in disbelief, wiping his face and finding a hand full of white powder. Fortunately, this body wasn't naturally bizarre-looking. It was just poorly decorated. A grown man had painted his face with rouge, and worse, he had done it so poorly. Shocked by this discovery, he regained some strength and finally managed to sit up. Then he noticed a round ring array under him. The ring was crimson, irregularly shaped, seemingly drawn with blood and still wet with a pungent smell. Some twisted and chaotic runes were drawn within the array, partly erased by his body, leaving behind an eerie and sinister aura. Wei Wuxian, known for years as the supreme evil ancestor or the demon patriarch, naturally understood such arrays that were clearly not good omens. He wasn't possessing someone else, he was being offered a body. Offering a body was essentially a curse where the caster mutilated themselves, dyeing the array in runes with their own blood, sitting in the center and offering their flesh to an evil spirit in exchange for fulfilling a wish. This was the opposite of possessing. Another infamous forbidden technique rarely used, because few desires were strong enough to make one willingly sacrifice everything. Over the centuries, only a handful of documented cases existed, all seeking revenge, and the summoned spirits fulfilled their wishes brutally. Wei Wuxian felt indignant. How did he become classified as an unforgivable evil spirit? Though his reputation was poor and his death gruesome, he neither haunted nor sought revenge. He swore there was no more peaceful and law-abiding spirit than him. However, the curse prioritized the caster's wishes, even if he disagreed. Since he was already possessed, it implied a contract to fulfill the wish or suffer eternal destruction. Wei Wuxian checked his wrists and found several fresh wounds, indicating the curse was real. If he didn't fulfill the wish, these wounds wouldn't heal, eventually tearing him apart. After confirming this, Wei Wuxi and grumbled to himself and struggled to get up. The room was large but empty and shabby. The bedding had a musty smell, and a bamboo basket in the corner was overturned. With waste scattered around, Wei Wuxian saw ink marks on a crumpled paper ball and picked it up. It was densely written with words. He collected all the paper balls from the floor. These papers seemed to be the original owners venting during distress. Some passages were incoherent, reflecting anxiety and tension through twisted handwriting. Wei Wuxian read them patiently and felt something was off. Guessing roughly, he figured out some details. The body's original owner was named Mo Xuanyu, and the place was called Mo Village. Mo Xuanyu's grandfather was a local wealthy man with few descendants. He had only 2 daughters. The elder was legitimate, married to a man who joined the family, while the younger was born to a servant. The younger daughter had a unique encounter at 16, attracting the attention of a prominent master who visited frequently. A year later, she gave birth to Mo Xuanyu. Initially, Mo Village disapproved of this affair, but attitudes changed as people revered cultivators. The prominent master occasionally helped the family, shifting opinions positively. The Mo family took pride in this, and others envied it. However, the master's interest waned after a few years and visits became rare. At 4, Mo Xuanyu never saw him again. In recent years, the village's attitude reverted to disdain and pity. The younger daughter believed the master wouldn't neglect his son. At 14, Mo Xuanyu was formally welcomed into the master's family. The younger daughter regained her confidence, proudly proclaiming her son would become a great cultivator. However, before he could succeed, he was expelled for being attracted to men and harassing fellow students. His lack of talent made his expulsion inevitable. To make matters worse, Mo Xuanyu returned mentally unstable, behaving erratically. Wei Wuxian raised an eyebrow. Being attracted to men was one thing, but mental instability explained why no one questioned the bloody array or his face covered in rouge. Returning home, Mo Xuanyu faced ridicule. His mother couldn't bear the shame and died from distress. By then, Mo Xuanyu's grandfather had passed away, leaving his aunt in charge. She resented her sister and her illegitimate child, favoring her own son, Mo Ziyuan, who believed he would have succeeded if taken instead of Mo Xuanyu. Mo Ziyuan repeatedly humiliated Mo Xuanyu, taking his belongings as his own. Fed up, Mo Xuanyu reported it to his aunt, prompting today's confrontation. Reading the small, cramped writing, Wei Wuxian felt his eyes ache, thinking how miserable Mo Xuanyu's life was, leading him to offer his body for revenge. His eyes ached, then his head started hurting. Normally, the caster's wish would be clear to the summoned spirit, but this technique was likely incomplete. While Wei Wuxian guessed it involved revenge against the Mo family, he wondered about the specifics. Should he reclaim stolen items, beat up the family, or wipe them out? Most likely the latter, given Wei Wuxian's reputation ungrateful, deranged, and the epitome of evil calling him suggested a significant wish. Wei Wuxian sighed. You got the wrong person. He realized he needed to understand the specific wish to proceed effectively.